Linux Mint 22.3 has just arrived, bringing changes you don't want to miss. Linux Mint 22.3 is an LTS release that will be supported until 2029. This update brings updated software, refinements, and new features that make the desktop more comfortable and enjoyable to use. Here are the top 7 new features that make Linux Mint 22.3 more powerful and intuitive than ever. One of the most visible and immediately recognizable changes in Linux Mint 22.3 is the new Cinnamon menu, introduced with Cinnamon 6.6. At first glance, it may seem like just a cosmetic change, but the menu is one of the most used elements in any operating system, and the Mint team has paid special attention to it. Compared to the Mint 22.2 menu based on Cinnamon 6.4, the new version is more rounded, airy, and better structured. The sense of a rigid interface with sharp corners disappears, replaced by a more fluid and modern design without abandoning the classic and sober style that defines Linux Mint. The most important change is the introduction of a third column, which separates menu elements more clearly and significantly reduces visual clutter. The structure is now logically divided into 3 distinct zones. Left column, dedicated to the user's personal resources. For the first time, the user's avatar appears here alongside personal folders, frequently accessed documents, and favorite applications. It's a small detail, but it adds personality and makes interacting with the system more pleasant and intuitive. Central column, reserved exclusively for application categories and settings. This clear separation speeds up navigation and makes the menu much easier to understand, especially for new users. Right column displays the actual applications in the selected category. A subtle but welcome change is that application descriptions are now visible directly under the name, not just as pop-ups when hovering. The style is reminiscent of the Mate menu and improves readability. Another notable addition is EXAP symbolic icons, monochrome symbolic icons used for menu categories. These provide a cleaner, more coherent look, reduce visual noise, and integrate better with the overall system theme. The same visual approach is applied in the Nemo file manager, where sidebar icons have been updated to maintain interface consistency. One of the biggest strengths of the new Cinnamon menu is its level of customization. Users can adapt the menu exactly to their workflow. The search bar can be placed either at the top or bottom. Close, restart, and log out buttons can follow the search bar's position or be placed separately. The first column, including the avatar, can be completely hidden. The menu can be freely resized in width and height. In its minimal configuration, the menu looks very similar to the Whisker menu in XFCE, demonstrating Cinnamon's remarkable flexibility and Mint's philosophy of not enforcing a single usage style. Although it's the first change you notice after updating, the new Cinnamon menu is more than a visual upgrade. It's a rethink of how users interact daily with the system, emphasizing clarity, speed, and comfort. It perfectly reflects Linux Mint's philosophy: visible, useful, and well thought out changes without unnecessarily complicating the experience. The second major novelty in Linux Mint 22.3 is the significant evolution of the System Reports tool, which has been renamed System Information and massively expanded. This is not just a name change, but a deep transformation of how users can understand and diagnose their system. Clement Lefebvre, the leader of the Linux Mint project, clearly explained the motivation behind this change. When troubleshooting issues and finding solutions, you don't only need to find people who are able to help you, you need to be able to give them the information they need to understand your problem and give you the right solution. Previously, System Reports was useful but limited. In Linux Mint 22.3, all this information is centralized in a clear, well-organized graphical interface. The application now includes 4 new pages dedicated to hardware. USB shows all connected USB devices, grouped by controller, displays device IDs, power usage, maximum supported speed, and actual speed. Extremely useful for identifying slow USB sticks, faulty cables, or random disconnections. GPU provides detailed information about the active graphics card, including the driver in use, hardware acceleration support, and available graphics technologies, essential for troubleshooting video or performance issues. PCI shows a complete picture of internal components: network card, audio controller, chipset, other PCI devices with hardware IDs and associated drivers, critical information for diagnostics. BIOS includes motherboard info, BIOS version and manufacturer, boot type UEFI or legacy, and secure boot status, often requested on forums for boot or compatibility problems. Another well-thought-out aspect is information sharing. With a single click, users can copy the data to the clipboard, upload it temporarily to a pastebin-like service that generates a short link. This makes requesting help on forums or support groups much easier. Importantly, no personal data is collected, and the information cannot identify the user or compromise system security. System information drastically reduces the gap between users and technical support. There's no need to know commands or understand Linux's internal structure to get effective help. It's one of the most important improvements in Linux Mint 22.3. Eliminates dependency on the terminal, provides complete hardware information, greatly simplifies troubleshooting. It's clear proof that Linux Mint puts the user first. Linux Mint 22.3 introduces a new application called System Administration, which may seem modest at first glance, but sends a strong message about the project's direction. It's not flashy in terms of functions, but philosophically it's very important. Critical Linux settings have historically been accessible only via terminal commands, manual editing of configuration files, technical documentation difficult for non-technical users. For non-technical users, this was always intimidating. Linux Mint aims to remove this barrier. System administration includes a boot menu module, which allows configuring how the system boots using a simple, clear graphical interface. From this window, you can enable or disable the boot menu, set the wait time before automatic startup, modify certain boot parameters without manually editing files. Even though the app currently has a single module, system administration is designed as a foundation for the future. It's likely to include additional administrative settings in upcoming versions that were previously hidden or difficult to access. Wayland is the future of the Linux desktop, but the transition is challenging, especially for keyboards and input methods. Linux Mint 22.3 makes significant progress in this area, particularly for users who don't use English keyboards. In Cinnamon 6.6, keyboard settings were redesigned to manage both classic layouts and modern input methods in the same place, treating them as the same type of layout. This means traditional XKB layouts, iBus input methods, other input engines. The keyboard applet in the panel now fully supports both classic layouts and iBus input methods, including all necessary functions. Switching languages is more intuitive, faster, and much more stable. Previously, Cinnamon only worked correctly on Xorg, limiting Wayland to the US layout. Now the new system is fully Wayland compatible, allowing the use of diacritics, Cyrillic, and Asian languages without compromise. The on-screen keyboard has been rewritten natively in Cinnamon. It supports layout switching, input methods, full Wayland integration. It's a subtle but essential change for Cinnamon's maturity and Linux Mint's future. Although it may seem minor, the pause and resume feature in Nemo is one of the most requested and appreciated improvements in Linux Mint 22.3. For those working with large files, unstable networks, or external storage, this feature dramatically improves the user experience. You can now pause ongoing file transfers, whether copying or moving, resume the transfer exactly where it left off without starting over, manage the file queue, deciding which files move first and which wait. This works whether transferring files within the same computer, between external drives, or even to NAS devices. Why is this important? Previously, if you copied a large 10-20 gigabytes file and the connection or network failed, or you needed to pause to free system resources, the entire operation had to restart from scratch, time-consuming and frustrating. With Nemo's new feature, this scenario disappears. You can stop the transfer, use resources for something else, then resume exactly where it was interrupted. Managing large files becomes fast, flexible, and predictable. Warpinator is one of Linux Mint's flagship apps, a simple, intuitive tool for transferring files between computers on the same local network without cloud or external servers. In Linux Mint 22.3, Warpinator becomes even more powerful with integrated chat, turning it into a small local collaboration hub. Imagine this scenario. You're working at home or in a small office. You want to send a large folder of documents to a colleague. Both devices are connected to the same Wi-Fi network. While files transfer, you can chat, folder X is being sent, confirm when received. Your colleague responds instantly, and you can continue sending the next folders without confusion or loss. File transfer and communication happen in one place, quickly and securely. One of the most subtle but incredibly useful features in Linux Mint 22.3 is Nightlight, which automatically adjusts screen lighting to reduce eye strain. For users who spend long hours in front of the computer, especially in the evening or at night, the impact is significant. Nightlight changes the screen's color temperature. Instead of harsh, cold, white light that strains eyes and disrupts circadian rhythm, the screen gains warm tones, closer to natural sunset light. Practically, it reduces blue light, makes viewing more relaxed, helps you sleep better if working late. Nightlight gets a dedicated panel applet offering concrete advantages, quick access and visibility. One click provides immediate control. Status view. See instantly if Nightlight is active. Precise color temperature control. Mint 22.3 allows fine adjustments directly from the applet. Another new feature is Always On, keeping Nightlight active permanently, useful for nighttime or artificially lit environments, users sensitive to light, those seeking a consistent visual experience throughout the day. Previously, Nightlight activated automatically by schedule, for example, sunset to sunrise, limiting flexibility. Now, full control is in the user's hands, with instant switching between normal and Nightlight modes. Linux Mint 22.3 is not just a routine update, it reaffirms Mint's philosophy, simplicity, stability, and intuitive experience. From the redesigned Cinnamon menu and complete hardware information system to practical features like file transfer, pause, resume, and panel controllable Nightlight, this release brings improvements that truly matter for daily use. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay updated with all Linux Mint news. Comment below which feature you find most useful or can't wait to try.